Listen up, because this is something they don't tell you. Success, it ain't a straight line. It's messy, it's unpredictable. It's ugly before it's beautiful. You see all these people out here flashing their achievements, acting like they woke up one day and just had it. Nah, that's not how it works. That's not reality. What they don't show you are the nights they wanted to quit. The times they got knocked down so hard they questioned if they even had what it takes. The moments they sat alone, doubting themselves, wondering if they were crazy for chasing this dream. They don't tell you about the sacrifices, the doors slammed in their faces, the failures that made them question everything. And they definitely don't tell you how success, real success, is built on failure after failure until one day it all clicks. You ever try to drive somewhere you've never been without a map? You take wrong turns. You miss exits. You end up on streets that lead nowhere. But here's the thing, you don't stop and say, well, guess I'll live here now. No, you turn around, you route, you find another way. That's exactly how success works. It's not about getting it perfect the first time. It's about adjusting, about learning from every wrong turn until you finally reach your destination. People love to talk about the wins, but they don't talk about the losses. They'll tell you till your championship ring, but they won't mention the years of blood, sweat, and tears that came before it. They'll tell you about the business they built, but they won't tell you about the nights they stayed up, broke, stressed, wondering how they were going to pay the next bill. They won't tell you about the times they invested everything into something only for it to fail miserably. But here's what you need to understand. Every failure is a setup. Every loss is a lesson. Every setback is an opportunity to come back stronger. If you can't handle failure, you can't handle success. Period. Because the truth is, the people who win are not the people who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. You know what separates those who make it from those who don't. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even resources. It's grit. It's the ability to take hit after hit and still keep moving forward. It's the ability to look at failure in the face and say, all right, you got me this time, but I ain't done. You have to be willing to go through the dark seasons when nothing seems to be working. You have to be willing to show up when no one is clapping for you, when no one believes in you but you. Because if you think success is about smooth roads and easy rides, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Success is built in the trenches. It's built in the moments where quitting feels like the best option, but you choose to keep going anyway. There are going to be times when it feels like nothing is working. Like no matter how hard you try, you're not getting anywhere. That's the moment most people give up. That's the moment when people say, maybe this isn't for me. But you have to push past that. You have to keep going when it makes no sense. When the results aren't showing, when everything in you wants to walk away. Because the ones who keep going, they're the ones who win. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall flat on your face. And you know what? That's part of the process. That's how you get better. That's how you grow. Nobody becomes great without first being a beginner. Nobody dominates without first struggling through the learning curve. So if you're in that space right now, if you feel like you're putting in the work but not seeing the results, if you feel like you keep hitting roadblocks, understand this, you're not failing. You're growing. You're learning. You're getting stronger. And every setback is setting you up for something greater. So keep pushing. Keep grinding. Keep going when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when it feels like nothing is working. Because when that moment comes, when it finally clicks, when the doors open, when everything you've been working for finally comes together, you'll realize it was never about the destination. It was about who you became on the way there. Let's get something straight. Hard work alone gets you there. I know they told you, just work hard and you'll be successful. But that's only part of the truth. You can work yourself into the ground, give everything you've got, and still end up stuck, still end up losing. Because success isn't just about effort, it's about direction. It's about strategy. It's about working hard on the right things. See, people love the idea of hustle. They love to say grind 24/7, no sleep, no breaks. And yeah, grinding is important. But if you're grinding in the wrong direction, you're just digging a deeper hole. Do you ever see somebody running on a treadmill? They're sweating. They're exhausted. They're putting in the work, but they're not going anywhere. And that's exactly what happens when you confuse movement with progress. You can be the hardest worker in the room, but if you're not being smart about it, if you're not learning, if you're not growing, if you're not making the right connections, you're wasting time. There are people out there working half as hard as you, and they're winning. Why? Because they understand that hard work alone isn't the key. It's smart work. It's about knowing where to put your energy. Let me tell you something, they don't give out trophies just because you tried. Nobody's handing out first place medals just because you put in hours. Effort is expected. Dedication is required. But what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't is the ability to adapt. The ability to learn. The ability to take a step back and say, is this working? Or am I just busy? How many times have you seen someone give their all to something, but it never takes off? They pour their heart into a business and it fails. They work nonstop, but they never get the promotion. They're grinding, but they're stuck. It's not because they're not working hard enough, it's because they're not being strategic. They're playing the game without learning the rules. You've got to study success. You've got to learn from people who've already done what you're trying to do. You've got to understand that success is part execution, part elevation. You can work 16-hour days, but if you don't know how to position yourself, how to market yourself, how to take the right risks, you're just spinning your wheels. Listen, nobody ever got rich just by clocking in and out. Nobody ever became a legend just by showing up. You have to go beyond effort. You have to outthink, outmaneuver, outposition. The ones who win aren't just the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who think the hardest. You ever wonder why some people get ahead faster than others? It's not because they're luckier. It's not because they're more talented. It's because they understand that success is part hustle, part strategy. They know that connections matter. They know that timing matters. They know that putting energy into the right things will always beat putting energy into everything. So stop wearing yourself out doing things that aren't moving you forward. Stop thinking that working harder is always the answer. Sometimes the answer is working smarter. Sometimes the answer is stepping back and asking, what's my plan? What's my next move? Because if all you're doing is grinding with no direction, you're not chasing success, you're chasing exhaustion. You're putting in hours, but you're not building anything. And I don't care how bad you want it, if you're running in circles, you'll never reach the finish line. So don't just work hard, work right. Study, learn, adapt. Make the connections. Take the risks that matter. And when you do that, when you combine relentless effort with smart execution, that's when you stop grinding just to grind and start grinding toward greatness. You can have all the talent in the world. You can have the best strategy, the best resources, the best connections. But if your mind ain't right, none of that matters. Because success isn't just about what you do, it's about how you think. It's about what you believe when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when nobody's telling you to keep going. See, most people lose before they even start. Not because they don't have what it takes, but because they've already convinced themselves they can't do it. They doubt themselves, they second guess, they let fear talk them out of their own destiny. And that's the real battle. It's not out there, it's in here, it's in your mind. You ever wonder why two people can go through the same struggle, face the same obstacles, and one of them comes out on top while the other one quits? It's not about talent. It's not about who had more opportunities. It's about who refused to break. It's about who refused to believe they weren't good enough. Because life is going to test you. It's going to throw everything it's got at you. It's going to push you to the edge and dare you to quit. And the difference between the ones who make it and the ones who don't, it's mindset. It's the ones who say, I don't care how hard it gets, I'm built for this. And listen, I'm not saying confidence comes easy. I'm not saying you wake up every day feeling like a champion. But what I am saying is that confidence is a choice. It's a muscle. You build it every single time you get up after life knocks you down. Every time you push through doubt. Every time you bet on yourself instead of waiting for permission. Most people wait for someone else to validate them. They wait for somebody to tell them they're good enough. They wait for a sign. Let me tell you something, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You need to decide right now that you're done doubting yourself, that you're done letting fear make your decisions for you, That you're done playing small because it's comfortable. Success is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. But the ones who win, they're the ones who get comfortable being uncomfortable. They're the ones who step into rooms where they feel out of place and say, I belong here. They're the ones who take the risk before they feel ready. You're going to have moments where you feel like a fraud, where you wonder if you really have what it takes, where you start comparing yourself to people who've already made it, thinking, man, I could never be like them. But let me ask you something, why not? Who told you that you couldn't be great? Who told you that you weren't enough? Because whoever planted that doubt in your mind, they lied to you. You've got everything you need inside of you, but you got to tap into it. You got to feed the belief more than you feed the doubt. You got to remind yourself every single day, I can do this. And not just say live like it, move like it, work like it. Because the world isn't going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to come knock on your door and say, hey, here's success on a silver platter. You have to take it. You have to show up like you deserve it, like you own it. And that starts in your mind. That starts with the way you speak to yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you refuse to let fear write your story. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop letting your own thoughts be the reason you're not where you want to be. Shift your mindset. And you shift your life. Believe you belong at the top and watch how everything starts moving in your favor. Let's be real, most people won't support you. Not at first. Not when it matters most. Not when you're just getting started, struggling to find your way. And you got to be okay with that. Because if you're waiting on people to believe in you before you believe in yourself, you're already setting yourself up to lose. See, people don't clap for potential. They clap for results. They don't believe in dreams, they believe in proof. And that's why so many people give up before they even get a chance to win. They expect their friends and family to be their biggest cheerleaders. And when they don't get that validation, they start questioning everything. But let me tell you something, just because they don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not real. Just because they don't understand your vision doesn't mean you're wrong for chasing it. Some people can only support what they can see. But you have to believe before the results come. And you have to see it in your mind before they see it in real life. You ever notice how people switch up when you start winning? How the same people who ignored you, doubted you behind your back, suddenly they respect you. Suddenly, they knew you were going to make it. That's because people don't respect effort. They respect accomplishment. They don't care how many hours you put in, how many nights you sacrifice, how much pain you push through. They only care about what they can measure. And that's why you can't depend on them. That's why you can't get caught up in proving yourself to people who ain't even built to see your vision. Some of them mean well, but their mindset is limited. Some of them love you, but their fear of failure is so strong, they project it onto you. And some of them, they just don't want to see you win because your success reminds them of everything they didn't do. You got to be strong enough to keep going, even when it feels like you're alone. You got to be locked in so much that no amount of doubt, no lack of support, no outside noise can shake you. Because if you're doing this for approval, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Do you ever think about why so many people give up on their dreams? It's not always because they weren't good enough. It's not because they didn't have the talent or the ability. It's because they let other people's doubts become their own. They let the negativity seep in. They let rejection convince them they weren't worthy. But listen to me, nobody gets to tell you what you're capable of. Nobody gets to define your limits. If they don't believe in you, so what? If they think you're crazy, good. If they don't see the vision, that's fine. It's not their vision to see. Some of you are waiting for permission. You're waiting for someone to tell you you're good enough, that you're talented enough, that you have what it takes. Let me save you some time. Stop waiting. Stop looking for validation from people who wouldn't believe in you no matter what. If you need applause to keep going, you're already in trouble. You got to learn to move in silence. You got to learn to grind without recognition. You got to be so locked in on your purpose that it doesn't matter who supports you or who doubts you. Because the truth is, nobody owes you their belief. Nobody owes you their approval. And if you keep looking for it, you're going to waste years trying to convince people instead of just proving it through results. One day, the same people who ignored you are going to be the ones trying to figure out how you did it. The same ones who doubted you are going to be the ones asking for advice. But by then, it won't even matter, because by then you'll have already won. Everybody wants success, but nobody talks about what it costs. See, they show you the highlight reel wins, the celebrations, but they don't show you what it took to get there. They don't tell you about the late nights, the early mornings, the missed birthdays, the moments when you had to choose between comfort and commitment. They don't talk about the sacrifices. And that's why so many people say they want success, but when it's time to pay the price, they hesitate. They back out. Because it's easy to want something that's a whole different game to do what it takes to get it. Everybody loves the idea of success until they realize what comes with it. Until they realize it means giving up the things that most people aren't willing to give up. It means missing out on sleep because you're grinding. It means saying no to distractions, no to wasting time, no to the habits that are keeping you average. It means walking away from comfort. See, people want the rewards, but they don't want the process. They want the recognition, but they don't want the rejection. They want the results, but they don't want the discipline. And that's why so many people stay exactly where they are, because they're not willing to make the trade-offs. You got to understand every level of success comes with a price. You want to be great. You're going to have to give up some things. You want to be the best. You're going to have to sacrifice like the best. And that's not just about working hard. It's about making the tough choices. The ones that separate the ones who make it from the ones who don't. You're going to have to say no when everyone else is saying yes. No to partying when you know you need to be working. No to distractions when you knew you need to be locked in. No to people who don't support your vision. No to comfort. And listen, it's not going to feel good all the time. It's not supposed to. Growth is uncomfortable. Success is uncomfortable. And that's why most people don't reach it, because the moment it starts hurting, they stop. The moment it gets hard, they fold. They don't realize that pain is part of the process. You ever wonder why only a small percentage of people actually achieve their dreams? It's not because they were more talented. It's not because they had more resources. It's because they were willing to give up what most people aren't willing to give up. They were willing to go all in. And that's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who almost make it. They almost weren't willing to sacrifice. They weren't willing to push through when it got tough. They weren't willing to say, I'll do whatever it takes, no matter what it costs. So the question is, are you? Are you willing to pay the price? Because success ain't free. It's expensive. It's going to cost you time, energy, effort. It's going to cost you comfort. It's going to cost you relationships. It's going to cost you sleep. It's going to cost you the old version of yourself. But here's the truth. If you're not willing to sacrifice for what you want, then what you want becomes a sacrifice. You either give up the things that are holding you back, or you give up the dream. It's that simple. So ask yourself, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to walk away from? Because if you're not willing to lose something, you're not ready to win. You think success is about reaching the top. You think it's about finally making it, finally getting that title, that money, that recognition. Let me tell you the truth, success ain't a destination. It's not a place you arrive at and kick your feet up. It's a process. It's a never-ending climb. That's why so many people get caught slipping. They work, they grind, they push through the pain, and then they stop. They think, I made it. I did it. And the moment they relax, the moment they take their foot off the gas, life humbles them real quick. Because the truth is, success isn't something you get, it's something you have to keep. You ever wonder why some people hit the top and then disappear? Why some people win once and then fall off? It's because they thought the work was over. They thought the grind was temporary. But the ones who stay on top, the ones who keep winning year after year, no matter what life throws at them, they understand that the work never stops. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you start losing. The moment you stop pushing yourself, stop growing. Stop challenging yourself, that's the moment you start falling backwards. Because there's always another level. There's always more to learn, more to do, more ways to elevate. And that's why you got to fall in love with the process. You got to love the work. Not just the rewards, not just the recognition. You got to love building, improving, growing. You got to be addicted to getting better. Because if you don't love the work, you won't last. See, some people only grind because they want the prize. They're motivated by the outcome. And when they get what they wanted, they slow down. They lose the hunger. But the greats, the ones who dominate, they don't need a reason to work. They work because that's who they are. They chase growth, not comfort. That's why so many people struggle after success. They spent so much time chasing a goal that they didn't know what to do after they hit it. They didn't understand that success isn't a finish line, it's a mindset. It's a commitment to never stop leveling up. So the question is, are you built for this? Are you willing to keep grinding even after you win? Are you willing to push past good enough and keep chasing greatness? Because the truth about success is never owned, it's rented. And rent is due every single day.